for cafecito, time for cafecito, time for cafecito break. Join us, take a sip. It's time to wait. Hurry on up, we've got people to shake. Time for cafecito, time for cafecito, time for cafecito.
It's time for cafecito break, mi gente.
Join us, take a sip.
Join us. Time to wakey wakey. We've got people to shake, to awake. We need to reach our gente. Mi gente, we are in a battle. We are in a battle of many multiple dimensions. Today, we are live with Isaiah L. Carter, and our topic is being brave in the land of cancel culture and political correctness. Take a moment, please. Share this live, comment, get the people in. We've got 40 minutes. Let's make it count. All right. Hello. Isaiah, welcome to the show. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me for having me with you. This is a very welcome surprise, and I did actually come prepared. I have my own cafecito right here. So
I absolutely love it. I've put up the focused conversation on the screen, being brave in the land of cancel culture and political correctness, something that you and I have some experience with. And I want to let the gente know how was it that what piqued my interest to want to chat with you. I'm gonna let the gente know this was really guided by God. God was like, contact Isaiah and bring him on. At least that's my awareness. When I listen, when you get into that quiet space, right? This is a time, mi gente, where people who are brave, such as the man that's on the screen who spoke out during a very timely moment, where many of us who have platforms on X were getting and are getting throttled. And I believe you're getting throttled in the present moment. Am I mistaken?
a little bit, yeah. I noticed it a couple of days ago where I had like 200,000 impressions one day. Like it was well over 200,000 impressions. And then the very next day, it was lower than half of what I'd gotten. I don't exactly know why that's the case. I've been trying to figure that out. I mean, today was a little bit, yesterday was a little bit better, but I don't exactly know why there was like this. I don't know why this throttling is happening. Maybe it could. I have no idea. But what I've noticed is that a lot of people who say things that are inconvenient to certain narratives are usually the first ones to get throttled. They're usually the first ones to lose a part of their voice, and that's got to stop. I mean, I know. I mean, X is still like the platform for free speech, but for the most, but again, like this is something that has to end like across platforms. It is. So
For those who are getting to know you for the first time, can you share a little bit about you? And then also there was a certain video that you posted on X, if you could talk about that, because that's the video that bridged us here at this moment. And it is about being brave.
yes. So let me see, back in February of 2025, if this is the same video we're talking about, I basically spoke out against the Democrat Party. I had been a loyal Democrat for 15 years since casting my first vote for, well, not my first vote, but like my first vote for Democrats when I voted for Barack Obama back in 2008. And then I voted loyally in every single presidential campaign since. I voted for Barack Obama in 2008, 2012, then voted for Hillary Clinton in 2016, then voted for Joe Biden in 2020. I started seeing cracks. Like I started seeing things that weren't what they appeared to be with the Democrat Party. I was starting to see how there was this hyper focus on everything LGBTQIAP. I was watching like the compliance tests after COVID, how they made people, you know, how miserable they made people's lives even after 2020. It was like, okay, so like we elected these people to essentially bring us back to a sense of normalcy. And then as soon as they got fully into power, and I'm including Fauci in this, because he had people at the top who, you know, were amenable to his agenda. As soon as all of the right cogs were in place, they just decided, you know what, we're going to instill our normal for you. And I started seeing cracks in that really from 2021 when my account was throttled. But in 2025, just to fast forward a bit, I saw like the Doge cuts, the things that were being revealed after Trump got elected again. Seeing where all of our tax dollars were going to these different these different little side quests all over the world. It was like, why is my tax dollars, why is my tax money going to fund all of these things that I neither authorized nor asked for? And so the ridiculousn's of them, I can't remember. I think it was like basket weaving in Gambia or something over in Africa, like all of these USAID projects and everything. It was like, why is this happening? And I just lost it, you know. On my lunch break at work, I cut a 3-minute 14-second video where I'm basically going off. I'm like, these people have lied to us all. This is a party full of theater kids, like the sons of affluent parents, like the children of affluent parents who are more concerned about looking good rather than actually doing good. And it frustrated me because I mean, that's what I felt. I felt like that was what I was being rewarded for as a loyal Democrat. That was what I was being rewarded for as a black man in America, okay, by the political party that really black people just vote for, black and Hispanic people just vote for out of sheer inertia. Like, that's just what we've always done. So, that video.
No, I was just gonna ask you, as a black man, do you feel reflected in the Democratic Party at all?
No.
Because of all of these things that they have hyper focus. As a person who does a lot of interviews on the streets, I come across people who are afraid, as Democrats, who may be business owners, to even speak against Democrats because they are literally afraid of having a protest, for example, which has happened to certain businesses. They start getting protests in front of their businesses because they decided to speak up. And then that literally, you're getting cancel cultured right there, right?
Yeah. So it's important for your viewers to understand one thing, okay? There is a difference between, one, I understand where these business owners are coming from. It is a very bad situation, okay? It is awful when you've got 25, 30 people parked out in front of your business, yelling at people, trying to keep others from going in and patronizing you because you have the quote unquote wrong political belief. That's first and foremost. Okay. I understand how they feel. It is a terrible, terrible thing. But the other thing that must be understood is that we are no longer dealing with garden variety Democrats. We are not dealing with Democrats from, I don't know, the 1990s, or even the early 2000s. Most of the people who are quote unquote Democrats in New York City and elsewhere are just straight up communists. They are communists. We are talking about Marxists who these people have a class consciousness. Okay. If you do, it is not enough. Think of all of the lessons that we learned from COVID. Okay. They didn't care if they violated HIPAA laws. They didn't care if they violated your medical privacy. Okay. They didn't care if they violated your any religious belief. Remember, when it came to the vaccine, they were telling people basically to hell with your religious exemptions, with your medical exemptions, and with your HIPAA laws. This emergency, this global pandemic, ending this global pandemic is more important than your pitiful religious beliefs. Okay? The greater good, you have no individuality. The only thing that matters is the greater good. And that's what we're dealing with these days. So the business owner, another thing that I've noticed over the summer in Astoria, Queens, you had businesses all up and down 31st Street who Transportation Alternatives and Riders Alliance, these are two anti-car lobbying groups. Okay, they're the one like your bike lane weevils. Okay, they were going up and down 31st Street, harassing business owners who basically who told New York City DOT, they said, no, we don't want bike lanes. We don't want 31st Street chopped up beyond all recognition. And these people, they took about 100 or 2 of them, and they went on a bike ride that was loud. It was nasty. It was basically a rolling struggle session. And again, it's important for people to understand we're not dealing with communists. We're not dealing with Democrats. We are dealing with communists. We are dealing with socialists. Most of the people who live here, most of the people who live in New York City, I shouldn't say most, but a lot of the people who voted for Zoran and bringing all these are people who are not from New York City. They know nothing about the people. They know nothing about even the Black and Hispanic population, to bring it back to that.
Mm-hmm. Even an extra reason why it's important for people like you and I to talk, right? Because we still got that insight that folks should know about as just a perspective.
Yeah. I when I know we were talking before this, how there are the Democrat Party does not represent Black people anymore. I have been screaming this at the top of my lungs for the last several months. Okay. I have been begging people to understand that the Democrat Party as a whole are finished with Black people. They are done with Black people. They are done even with, they're done with certain Hispanics. Okay. They're done with Hispanics they can't control. Okay. Think of it. You are Boricua, I assume?
Yes, I'm Puerto Rican.
Okay. They don't, They don't like you, especially if you live in New York City. They don't like you, and they damn sure don't like me. Okay, they don't like, to use their terminology, they don't like people of color who can't be controlled. Okay, matter of fact, I'll start from the top. The Democrat Party, we're used to blacks and Hispanics voting in the 90th percentile. They were used to 91%, 92%. Like, this is what black people have been voting for Democrats for years. Okay? And once the Democrats started focusing on all this other stuff, okay, once they started bringing in infinity migrants from and I'm using their terminology, from the global south, okay, that's when you really started to see just how finished they were with, because they weren't putting these migrants, they weren't putting them in places like Williamsburg. They weren't putting them in the East Village. They weren't putting them in Park Slope or Carroll Gardens or even Astoria, for that matter. Where were they putting them? They're warehousing these migrants in the Bronx. They were warehousing these migrants in Brooklyn, in fact, in Brownsville, where I used to live. And then they would tell you, and again, the reason why they brought these people in was so that they don't have to listen to us. All they have to do is just keep cultivating their new serf class, the new underclass.
May I say something too?
Sure.
I want to expand on what you just said. They don't have to listen to us. Yeah, the Democrats don't have to listen to us. And some of the people who are reaping benefits, who have become their favorites, not all, because this is the weird thing. We're not all. First of all, you can't just say all Latinos and all immigrants and all black people are the same. They're not. But
Exactly.
there is absolutely a replacement happening, which we are seeing. To your point, Isaiah, I haven't been able to dig deep, but you've brought up a point, because I've heard a lot of Black Americans, they've been upset because they're being replaced. Their concerns and their plight is being replaced by Africans that are newcomers, for example.
Yes.
They're the ones that, and then even also being upstaged at certain musical events. It's not even Black America is outside of the
Yeah.
United States. So that's also happening to, let's say, Puerto Ricans. For a long time, we've been hearing of that we just have to accept open immigration. This is a land of immigrants. And so look at the present moment. Now you have Puerto Ricans who we know firsthand that not to trust the government. Pharmaceutical industries embedded in Puerto Rico. They experimented genetically. They experimented with the birth control pill, and they made a lot of Puerto Rican women sterile, like 40% in
Oh
the
my God.
70s, like something so crazy like that. And they didn't even, Puerto Rican women didn't even know they were being sterilized.
Oh my God.
So for those of you who then it's 2020 and you have no idea why common sense folks and Puerto Ricans who did have mentors of like the young lords, and they were pro 2A and against the government. So whatever we're seeing as an alliteration in this present moment, when you see somebody like Bad Bunny going over there, he's pro Puerto Rico, but he's being embraced by democratic socialist politicians. And then there's all this when you look back at who's been his backers, it does have roots to socialism and communism. So there's this soup there.
Venezuela in particular.
Yeah, that there's this soup there that is so hard for even folks like us to even try to get across, because why? Like the topic is being brave in the land of cancel culture and political correctness. Now, we were talking, Isaiah, about when they were trying to push Cuomo down our throats in the recent New York City election. To this day, we're still getting comments of, oh, Sliwa spoiler. You spoke out. We spoke out. We officially did get kicked out of X for a little bit and then popped back in, and with a little pop-up that says you're being throttled. We had proof that Cuomo posted a video that he was lying. He was there with Zoran, and he was like, "Oh, look at Zoran and Sliwa. They're supporting each other," but they were not. I was at the event, and I had the full footage, which I was showing that was
I saw that.
a memorial and it wasn't a campaign event.
Yeah,
So
I
then
saw
I get throttled, and the next day Elon endorses Cuomo, and so we were talking something that people didn't understand, that some of us who lived through that horrendous NYC lockdown with open eyes, we were experiencing sort of like a Cuomo PTSD COVID lockdown.
Yeah.
That
yeah.
was re-triggered by a lot of people got triggered, and I'd like to for you to kind of get into it from how you were seeing this.
So, I mean, for me, okay, and let me collect my thoughts real quick, because this actually made me very angry. See, you remember, okay, the problem that Cuomo had is that too many people in New York City have very fresh memory of what Cuomo did to people during his time as governor of New York. Okay? I still remember, just to give you my own little experience, I remember what Cuomo did to Andy Byford, the former president of New York City Transit. The man, Andy Byford, did his job too well, okay, and was essentially thrown in a broom closet for it because the people of New York City started giving Byford the credit instead of worshiping at the feet of Andrew Cuomo. Okay? So that's what I remember very specifically. It's a very, very specific memory. But most New Yorkers remember the daily press conferences during, like the daily press briefings during COVID, where he's just running off with all these streams of consciousness from, he's supposed to be giving like, updates on, COVID cases and all this other type of stuff. And meanwhile, he's going off about family drama and telling people that a mask is being respectful of one's neighbor. And, it just basically became, and then he was writing a book afterwards. We remember the stuff with nursing homes. Like, people remember what he did during his time as governor. And so for me, I was upset. Like, this whole notion that Sliwa was the spoiler. Let's talk about that for a second, okay? The notion of it is so, for lack of a better term, so retarded. First off, Sliwa won his primary. That's first and foremost. When you win your primary, okay, you are no longer the spoiler. You are actually, you are duly elected. You were duly put there for people to vote for in the general election. Cuomo lost his primary. He ran as a Democrat, and they drummed him out, okay? Though these communists were never, the progressives that currently have their talons in City Hall were never going to work with an Andrew Cuomo. The gentrifiers and transplants that currently supersede everybody else in the 5 boroughs, they were never going to go with an Andrew Cuomo. And so he lost. He lost the primary. and then decided to run as an independent. Again, that act right there by itself proves that Andrew Cuomo was the spoiler. And then, but it gets worse. So now that the election's over, and you now have WABC, 77 WABC just going like ridiculous right now in trying to turn a guy who was one of their own into a pariah. Okay, like they're really trying to force this issue of making Cuomo, of making Sliwa, persona non grata everywhere, and it's not working. One of Andrew Cuomo's people goes on New York One and admits that he only ran. Well, we didn't think we could win, she said. We didn't think we could win. We just didn't want to give Zoran a landslide. What? So you stole votes that would have gone to Sliwa. That's what you admit. You stole votes from Sliwa because people would have easily, Cuomo voters, people who would have voted for Cuomo would have very easily voted for Sliwa. I don't care that he only had 7 or 8% of the vote. I don't care. Cuomo stole Sliwa's votes, and then after the election his people admitted that he only wanted to do it, that he only did so that because he was convinced that Zoran was going to get a landslide. So you wanted to prove a point.
And who's the big sacrifice here?
The people of New York City.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. So Sliwa and his people were working so long, so hard. The last few months, 20-hour days. We saw him and the people that I work with everywhere. We saw Zoran canvassers everywhere. You know what we didn't see everywhere?
Cuomo's people.
Canvassers. Yeah. We never saw them unless it was like a media event. People got very nervous as they kept seeing, oh, Adams dropped out. Like it was just the craziest thing first of all, the math didn't make sense. Cuomo used his money, and then the billionaires used their money, and then people like Elon and even Trump at the very last minute, that was like, wow. And so to me, I would love to be proven wrong. To me, folks at the tippy top wanted Zoran to win.
I think they did. I
because
do.
I don't understand why, this is what I hear when people tell me, oh, why would you guys wasted your time. You guys should have done the logical sense and thrown your vote to Cuomo. I'm like, you're asking for 2 or 3 stupid things. First of all, Republicans to throw an olive branch to the Democrats. I know that there's evil apples in both parties, but for a Republican like Sliwa, for example, who's really urban and a real New Yorker, to sell himself, his integrity, his 50-year career to New York, all of the people that are underneath him that are, that he's representing, you were asking him to compromise with his integrity and to put New Yorkers as like, oh, well, let's just go with the logical thing. These polls were they even accurate? It was a great gaslight. It was a great gaslight for the people. We were seeing it. And now we're here. How are you seeing this, that now we have Zohran Mamdani, mayor-elect? Obviously, you're seeing a lot of people like the turncoats having many meltdowns. People are still getting, attacking Sliwa and his supporters. And then they're really attacking Zohran. Some of them are just attacking Zohran on religion and race, but they're not really attacking him or revealing what's really to be. You know what I'm saying? Like when we're like, oh, it's just over here, then you're not really seeing. Like to me, I'm like, we have to explain it to people. Like, look at what happened in 2020 One of our friends podcast had Zoran on, and he admitted in that podcast that he would have probably taken the same public policy procedure during
Yes.
COVID
Yes.
because, it was for public health. So what does that tell you about a man who's now representing the Democratic Party, the party of my body, my choice?
Yeah. My
This
body,
is the
my
thing that puzzles me.
because again, what it's very important for your listeners to understand. Democrats no longer have any beliefs of their own besides power. You must understand this. Democrats have no beliefs outside of whatever gives me power in the moment as much as I need right now so that I can stay where I'm at. Okay? Democrats have no beliefs of their own. Democrats were the party of my body, my choice. We heard that for how many years? I mean, and clearly, we heard my body, my choice whenever it comes time for people, whenever abortion is brought up, whenever, something, whenever some type of procedure, whatever, anything with the abomination that is quote unquote gender affirming care. Oh, they'll spit my body, my choice all day long for the adults that participate in that. But oddly enough, not for the kids who children can't consent to that foolishness. But anyways, my body, my choice went out the window when mass compliance became necessary for these people to do when mass compliance became necessary. You must understand this. You're seeing some of this right now, okay? When it comes to this, when it comes to the shutdown, Democrats for many years called themselves the party of the party of the little guy, party of the middle class, party of of whoever, the minorities, right? Think of this for the whole government. Think of this for the shutdown. 40 million people got kicked off of, got their SNAP benefits taken from them, right? 40 million Americans didn't have food stamps. The federal government was shut down, meaning that air traffic controllers, TSA agents, I'm talking like lower level federal government employees, did not get a paycheck. They were not paid, okay? Congress people and members of Congress and senators got their money. They got their checks. But none of the peons within the federal government did. Okay? Men and women, like our military, didn't get paid. And Democrats were prepared to make people suffer throughout the holidays. They were ready to take people's holidays away from them. Why? Because leverage. These people were trying to get money put back in that was going away as per the big beautiful bill. And they were trying to do some backhanded shit I'm sorry for cursing, but they were trying to do something backhanded, like let's go and try to put this money back in. Let's go and like some of the projects that USAID was funding. Let's put that back in. My body, my choice went away as soon as it became necessary to mandate vaccines. You must put things in your arm that the machine state requires, or you can't work. Or like they did in other places, if we can't fire you outright, we'll just subject you to testing every week. You don't want to take the vaccine? Well, we're going to demand that we're going to mandate that you get a swab stuck up your nose every week.
I know people that were getting injuries, and some of those little things were like stuck up too far up the nose. I saw this as ultimate compliance. Do you
Yeah.
remember when you couldn't enter a business without getting tested to make sure you didn't have a fever?
Yes.
And where did they want to test you? On the forehead.
Yep.
So then you're walking into an establishment and you have a total stranger pointing something, a laser, but that's shaped like a gun at your forehead.
Yep.
Do you know that I walked into I'm not a fighter, Isaiah. I've never even fought in the streets, but I walked into a business and a young man was starting to do this and I went like if I blocked him with my arm and he almost fell back cuz he didn't even told me two things. Nobody else. I was the first one that day that was like, no. Everybody else was just here, just zap, test me over here. I was like, no, that to me is psychologically like
You
I'm
pointing
walking.
a gun.
Yes, it's like for people, for especially when we're talking. It's. I'm sorry. I get so upset because when you start thinking about the psychology of a lot of people who are have so much PTSD for all the violence that are happening in their neighborhoods. And then you're going to subject them to get temperature checks by something that looks like a gun in their forehead.
Yeah.
I was having all sorts of tantrums. This is why there were many takedowns of our platforms. It wasn't because we were breaking rules. It was because we kept pointing out these nonsensical common sense things and people would be like, I see your nose and I'm gonna go visit my grandma later and I don't want to get sick because you're not towing the line.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, if it wasn't the vaccine, it was the testing. It was the insistence upon, like, even remember some of the real foolishness. I'll never forget, me and my now wife, we went to this Italian restaurant on the in Midtown a couple years ago. They made you wear a mask, right? You had to walk into the building with a mask on, right? Walk to the table, right? Walk to the table, you sit down, you can take your mask off.
Like
What?
a good obedient person. Yes, that's what you do when to
So as
be.
you're moving through the restaurant, you have to you have to wear your mask. But when you're seated at your table, oh, you can take your mask off and eat and drink as normal. Again, it was compliance. What the one thing that set me off in particular were when Stacey Abrams and Kathy Hochul and all these other people were taking pictures unmasked, okay? But all the people around them, even especially children, were wearing masks. It's like what, and it's like, what is this? What message are you really putting out there for people? Oh, that you're the hierarchy. This is no longer about hypocrisy. This is hierarchy, meaning you guys are the most ascended. You throughout heaven, and to quote one of my favorite animes, throughout heaven and earth, you all alone are the exalted one, are the exalted ones, the honored ones. Oh, really?
How amazing. Do you remember that they were also asking us to write our name, our number, our email addresses when we entered restaurants too?
Yeah.
Because if
Contact
somebody got sick, track and tracing. I'm not going to forget the social distance ambassadors that were yelling at us and all. I've never been offered free masks so much in my life. We also had people walking around the neighborhood if you had a small business and they would walk in to check if you were compliant. If look, all of a sudden all businesses had to go out of pocket for all these different things, right?
Yeah.
Do you have appropriate PPE? Are you with gloves? Are you having social distance? I'm like, we have a tiny crystal shop. You know, we could have, by their standards, we could have one person in the shop. How does that do anything good for business?
It wasn't meant to do anything good for business. Again, the small businesses were who the Democrats and even a few Republicans were trying to get rid of. Because remember, while so many small businesses, COVID, the mandates and the laws, well, no mandates because there were no laws passed. COVID, the pandemic, was created the largest upward transfer of wealth in human history. Small businesses that had been in operation overnight shut down or shut down within several years. I know people who shut down their businesses, not so much because of rent or like rents going up or anything else. They didn't want to deal with the foolishness. They didn't want to deal with the bureaucracy breathing down their necks. Okay? People did not want to be oppressed. And that's why so many small businesses closed up. But guess what? Now you see all these Targets popping up everywhere. You've got all these Amazon stores popping up everywhere. You've got things. When I first moved up here to New York City in 2015, well, I'm sorry, that was the second time I moved up here. The first time I moved up here was in 2008. And what I was truly struck by was the fact that there were no Walmarts in the 5 boroughs. There were only 2 when I moved up here before. There was the one in White Plains and the one in Valley Stream that still exists. That's still in operation. But there were none within city limits. Now they're still not the case, but because Target is more politically correct, it's more politically fashionable if Targets are to left-leaning people. You've got Targets everywhere now. Targets have replaced so many of the small businesses. And this is the restaurants. I've never seen so many national chains in New York City as I have within the last 5 years. A Popeyes on the West Village, excuse me? It's an abomination. But again, the reason for that is because these massive corporations, these billion-dollar corporations, those were the ones who had the massive transfer of wealth. They will do the ones who are able to afford whatever stupid bureaucracies that a socialist government will impose upon them. They're going to stay. Meanwhile, you with your crystal shop, you're not essential. So you can close. Go bake bread. Go bake bread.
A lot of businesses. We closed after 9 years, right? And that was really hard for us. But we also saw businesses that were like generational businesses that had to close too. Like that was families in their entire investment. Just like and here is what I saw then, and I continue to see now, Isaiah. And I'm mindful of the time, so I'll ask for your like wrap out comments.
Sure.
I saw the Democrat, some of my Democrat friends, some of the newer New Yorkers that have come in, they're like, well, so like that's just life. You pick it up and you start again.
Yeah. Yeah. You gotta love when the privilege kicks. When the privilege kicks in. You do. It's not, folks. And again, I'm speaking directly to your audience here. The people who have come into New York City are rich, white, Midwestern transplants. Those are your real enemies, okay? Your enemy is not, your enemy is the person who will look at you and say something insensitive like that. Your enemy is someone who will look at you, right? And tell you, as you voice your concerns about, say, congestion pricing, something else that's blatantly oppressive, charging you $9 to drive through the richest, whitest part of Manhattan, okay? And they say to you, well, you could just take the train. Oh, you can just, you don't have to pay it, just take the train. Stop driving.
And what happens when it rains a lot in
Yeah.
some of the trains?
You got to hope and pray that a train doesn't float off the tracks. Okay? You got to hope and pray that you don't get beaten up or shot or stabbed in or get kicked in the face by one of them Showtime dudes. Okay? You got to hope and pray you don't get stabbed up on a platform or pushed in front of a 2 train. People, these people live. You have people who are coming into New York City right now who live the most sheltered, privileged lives. They do not like you. They do not care for you. You are not even on their radar. You are simply there to pay taxes. You are simply there to make their food. You are simply there as a reminder of whatever surface guilt they need assuaged at a given moment. You are only there. You are the help. You are the help. These people come in with a plantation mindset, and I'm being very direct here. They come in here. They think they're better than you. They think that they know more than you, and all you need to do is get in line because you're an undisciplined animal. But yet they'll have a nonprofit that brings in more illegals, more migrants into your neighborhood, while conspicuously avoiding theirs.
Right, because people in these circles in New York City, they're not inviting you and me to chat with them, to figure out things, to move forward. As a matter of fact, a Zoran supporter recently told me, because I was like, hey, whoever wins, we still have to work together. She's like, we have nothing to do with Republicans. There is nothing at all that I could envision me having a conversation with a Republican or including them to talk to about.
Yeah, they're not. No,
There's like a complete dehumanization. I'm trying to tell people this is bigger than left and right. And some of us that maybe are calling ourselves Republicans, conservatives, it's not because we're just fanning over the Republican Party. It's just the Democrats are just a party of immoral humans.
They don't want to deal with you again. We are the Zoran voters are communists. Okay, again, I have that has to be made clear. Zoran voters are communists. Anytime these people say they want nothing to do with a Republican, that means they have already decided in their heart. And please understand, anyone who is not a communist, ladies and gentlemen, anyone who is not a socialist, anyone who might have even been a Cuomo supporter at one time, they're right wing. Understand this, ladies and gentlemen. Communists believe that anybody who is not one of them is a right winger. They think anybody who is not one of them is a fascist, while they make life easier for developers and all these big businesses. Who's the real fascist here? The fact of the matter is, they are only about one thing. You will get on your knees and you will do whatever we tell you to do. They're already planning on that energy when it comes to the New York City Police Department. They're already doing it. I'll never forget a video. I think it was James O'Keefe exposed. There was an old video of one of Zoran's people saying, "NYPD, no, they're going to do what we." Pardon the expression. They're going to do what we tell them. We're in charge.
It's that entitlement. And to your point, right? Who voted in this election? A lot of people who've been in New York less than 5 years.
Less than 5 years.
So they didn't experience the horrors of Cuomo, and they don't have any awareness for the plight of real New Yorkers. Isaiah, I know that you've got to go. What would you share a wrap out comment? And I really do hope that we can have you on the show again.
This has been an absolute pleasure. I greatly appreciate you having me on. You can follow me at Isaiah L. Carter on X. I am the host of Apostate Radio. We broadcast every Sunday night at 8 p.m. We've been blessed to have many guests on, a lot of big guests that have come on, and we hope that you will join us there as well. Again, we're on X, we're on Rumble, we're on YouTube. Just recently built out a new Apostate Radio channel. And we're currently working on like all the previous episodes are going on to the new channel. Okay. I'm trying to think of what else we have going on this week. We've got a show 8 p.m. Please join us, and please make sure you follow Apostate Radio NY. Also follow my co-host at Nino Chavez X. Got a lot of good stuff going on. Really thank you, Rosanja, for having me. I really appreciate it. Really appreciate it.
Well, thank you, and have a most amazing day. And I hope that we can still stay connected. And I look forward to having you as a guest again.
Oh, no, baby. No. We're doing this again. We're doing this again. We absolutely are.
We absolutely must be, gente. If anything that we've learned, right, is that mainstream media is just continuously just losing the trust of the people. So then that means that you need to tune in to folks like us and also invest. Show us the manes. All right, mi gente. I'll see you soon. Thank you, Isaiah. Please make sure you follow and like and subscribe.
Thank you.
All right, mi gente. That was Isaiah L. Carter and chatting with us, being brave in the landscape of political correctness, cancel culture, and having that eyesight of boots on the ground in New York City. You get to see so much. Thank you for joining us here today. Thank you for everyone that has tuned in. Let me see. I'd like to close out with a tiny little video about the Democratic Party. This is when I had a little chance to share a little walkaway speech. I'm here to tell you that there are gatekeepers here in New York City. The gatekeepers are not only in some of corporate media, but they're also in nonprofits, and they're also in our education system. And that a lot of times, a word of caution when we speak, we demonize the young people, but we're not demonizing the idiots that are injecting this poison into them. All right, mi gente, remember, it's important to be brave in this weird space that we find ourselves in, and integrity is more valuable than gold. I'll see you on Monday when we go live 8 p.m. Eastern time with our co-hosts Mark and Cozy. See you next time.